Good evening and welcome to the December 26th and last Selectmen's meeting of 2017. And all rise for Pledge of Allegiance, please. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Oh, you wanted us to cover for you while you were walking around here? Again, good evening and welcome. Let's see. We're going to have no public hearings tonight. Any announcements from the board? Sensing none. Any additions or deletions to the agenda?
Not for me.
I don't think we have anything. We have no appointments. I'd open up to any public comments. Anybody wishing to speak that's not on the agenda certainly has a right to ask to speak. I don't see any hands going up of the mass amount of people that are here tonight. So we're going to correspondence, just a list of correspondence that are Selectmen's correspondence for the period, the Treasurer's report, motor vehicle report for November, Representative Prescott's newsletter, Senator Woodsome's newsletter, and the ecomaine recycling reports are available. Anybody that would like to view any of that can either go on to the packet that is on the town's website, or if you want a hard copy, you certainly can come in and see Sherry here and ask for one. Reports and staff initiatives, Selectmen's reports. I'll start to my left. Gordon, anything?
No, other than it was a good holiday. I'd like to wish everybody out there a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Okay. Ted, anything?
I'd just like to just remind everybody to be mindful of your neighbors, especially your elder neighbors, for the next week to 10 days because of the extreme cold temperatures coming. Make sure somebody checks on them to make sure everybody's okay in town.
It's always a good thing to do. That it, Ted?
Yes, sir.
Dwayne, anything?
ZBA met last Thursday. I believe they got another meeting this Thursday too. I just want to thank all the town employees and the contractors over this holiday weekend, that the job that they did to get everybody to and from home and around to their parties, because the roads when I came home was clear. So everybody's done a good job.
Yep. Anything else, Wayne?
The other thing is, if anybody knows of the elderly or somebody that needs some heat and oil, we do have some assistance if somebody's in desperate need. Don't hesitate to contact the office here.
Right. Anything else, Wayne?
No.
Tim?
I don't have anything, thanks.
Hey, just, and I know that it kind of goes without a lot of fanfare every year, but there is a fairly significant Secret Santa program that runs on, kind of not by the town hall, but certainly a lot of the employees here and certain individuals in town contributed immensely to it, and again another successful year to them. So I want to thank those folks for being involved. And that's all I have. Gary.
And thank you for that comment. I'll jump on that a little bit more. 60 families, I think, were helped in that program. The families sign up for their children 16 and under, and an army of people go shopping and buy gifts that are specifically requested by these children, and it's all wrapped up, and a couple bags of groceries, and it's a really heartwarming affair. And when you take a picture of all this laid out in the building next door here, it's just absolutely wonderful. And some of the stories you hear touching the families, it's great. So in terms of my report, I'll leave the rec director and the library comments in my report aside, because that'll be later this evening. As selectmen know, we didn't receive any bids from the 2 RFPs for blowing the sidewalk on West Road. So we reached out and made some phone calls and hired Dana Brown to do that. this year with his skid steer snow blower. He's got a 6-foot blower. I think that's going to be reduced down to a 4, so he can get between the telephone pole and the people's yard. But he's been doing it so far, and that's who will be doing it for the rest of the year. I have a statement that Cleo asked me to read, and it was going to be 2 weeks ago, but since we didn't meet, I'm going to just read it tonight. It's essentially a thank you from Cleo Smith about the food pantry. The goal here at the food pantry is to make sure that no one in Waterboro goes hungry. They're very proud to say that our community has been more than generous in supporting the food pantry. They were unsure about how they were going to manage to give 121 families a great Thanksgiving dinner. The community came together to make sure that families received the turkey with all the trimmings plus dessert. A big thank you goes out to Mrs. DeSimone, who made 19 apple pies. It must be a record. We've heard that they were most excellent. Thanks go out to all the volunteers in the community who worked on food drives from schools, churches, banks, fire department, farmers, and so many others that were able to make this happen. And a big thank you to the wonderful volunteers who give their time and energy every week at the food pantry. And the last I knew, there was about 45 people who volunteer over there on Tuesdays and Saturdays. Backing up a little into the October 29 and 30 windstorm. Since we didn't meet 2 weeks ago, I was supposed to report to the board about what Matt and I learned about the RAVE emergency notification system over at EMA. We spent a couple hours over there getting a tour of the software with the folks over there, and it's probably more user-friendly than the Code Red that we were used to, but as we all know, the problem during that storm was not an emergency notification system, it was the lack of information from CMP. So we like this software. You sign up for it at home, you put in your own cell phone or landline numbers and contact information, and you would then be contacted by this system. But until that information from CMP improves, we don't really have a need for signing up with this, but I think we probably will, since it's no cost to us. It's the county doing it, and they're spending a lot less money doing it. We liked what we saw, certainly better than Code Red, but it's not going to solve the problem that we have, which was CMP information flow. Changing gears on you, evidently there's going to be a fishing derby on Little Ossipee on Saturday, February the 17th from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. A gentleman named Mark Cadret represents Pelham.org, which is a Maine special ed and adults in need organization, and this is a fundraiser for them. He has the permit from Inland Fish and Wildlife. He came in to see me last week and talked about the parking challenges. He was well aware that there's no place to park all around the lake to do this, and if he can't take his check-in station out on the lake, he understands that he might very well have to cancel that, because putting that in Gobeil Park, there's just no place for anybody to barely travel through there. So he's well aware of the challenges, and I'll give him credit because he was talking about having a parking shuttle and having several vehicles shuttle people after they've dropped off their people in gear to go back up to the school. I don't know that that works all that well, because as we all know, fishermen are a bit of an independent lot, and they like to have all their gear accessible to them. So. But anyway, let's see if that actually happens. Budget season is starting. The first budget committee meeting is this Thursday, the 28th. And we have 2 vacancies on that committee. We're down to 3 members, I guess. You will accept a resignation from Lisa this evening, but Rich Briganti, who I've left messages at his house that he used to own, perhaps, I stuck my business card and a note in the door, and nobody even called me back, so I'm thinking somebody different might live at that house now. So we're down to 3 people on the budget committee, just so that the selectmen know. And we will continue to do essentially what we did last year, is to try and meet every Thursday night until we're done sometime in March. But for the members of the public, we have to understand that the approval of the budget is going to be very different this year, because there's no more Saturday town meeting. It's going to be a referendum vote at the usual June Tuesday election. You'll be voting on the proposed budget at the polls. So the ballot will be much longer, and you should seriously consider about absentee voting, and you can take the ballot home with you if you want and have time to ask questions of town hall staff, especially this first year if you have any questions. And since we were talking about winter, we're all very well aware and very sad, I guess, that Foglio Incorporated is going to be getting out of the snow plowing business at the end of this winter. They've been doing plowing in this town for, off and on, for 50 years, I guess. And we will greatly miss their services and thank them for all the safe miles of winter roads they've created. I was talking to David Benton earlier today, and Dennis as well. And I guess ideally we'd like to go out to bid for a single bid for all 63 miles of the town roads. That would be the best. But Dennis suggested I bring this up to the board tonight, and if you've got any parting thoughts, we can talk about it now, or we can add a discussion item to the agenda. Do you want that bid to go out just as a single contract for all that mileage, or in addition to that, chop the town up into thirds like what you did several years ago? And possibly have 3 different contractors. So I'll take your thoughts however you want to deliver them to me on that subject. Doug Foglio Jr. was suggesting we go out to bid, before the end of February at the latest. And so that's what we were planning to do, is get ready this month to actually go out to bid. That's it from me. Thank you.
Okay. Questions or comments? All right, we'll move on here. Under new business, item A, discuss and vote to approve the state games of chance license for the Fraternal Order of Eagles for the sealed tickets that they utilize at 1050 Main Street over in the southern part of town. Best of my knowledge, all of our folks have checked from the code office to the
All 3, yep.
sheriff's office and the fire department. So what is your pleasure? I need a motion to approve.
So moved.
And a second.
I'll second it.
Okay. Any discussion? This is their annual, it has to be renewed. I think it,
Within 2 or 3 days.
yeah, it's got to be done by the end of the year.
They drag
But
feet every time.
with all due respect to them, we did cancel a meeting
Yeah.
2 weeks ago, so we'd have had a little bit more time. So, but there's no problems that have been found, and no reason to not continue to approve that unless someone has a concern with it. So, any other discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Item B, discuss vote to approve the town administrator's recommendation concerning the recreational director hiring. And then item C is for the librarian hiring. One of the few things I think in the charter that the town administrator has the right to hire and fire in all accounts, but for whatever reason in the approved charter there was an approval requirement for these positions, and I think the Public Works Director is another one, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Right, Chief.
we will go through these one at a time. So let's take item B. And I guess, Gary, I'll turn it over to you from a recommendation
Thank
perspective.
you. We had 20-some applications, good competition, vigorous interview process, and it was very clear. The committee, let's see, Ted, you were there on that one.
I was in the process of whittling things down. I was unable to attend
That's right.
the interviews because of an illness.
Yep. David Benton and I did the interviews, I'm sorry. Confusing my interviews here. And it was clear that Todd Smith not only won that interview, but won us over in terms of the best selection for the community. So Todd and his wife are here with us tonight, and I'm very pleased to present him as my recommendation for the next rec director.
Okay, do I have a motion to approve from the board?
So moved.
Second. Moved. And a second to approve the town administrator's recommendation concerning the recreational director hiring. Any discussion?
Yeah, I got a couple of points.
Yep.
First, I'm glad that we were able to find someone of Todd's ability in this area locally. Always in favor, whenever possible, to hire local people, and from the comments that I've heard since he has taken over during the interim process, he's been very, very well received by the sports organizations in town and the school systems, and generally, and I haven't heard a negative thing. In fact, I've heard that he's pulled a lot of things together. So I think that speaks well of his character. He really gets along great with the kids. So I think when we get ready to vote, I think you probably know which way I'll go.
Okay. Anything else? Any other discussion?
I just back him up. I think Todd has done a great job in terms of repairing some of those relationships or improving upon them or both. And it's been very noticeable. A lot of positive comments come to me because of that, so it's much appreciated. Working with our neighbors is great in terms of collaborating and filling buses with people that people from Waterboro might not fill a bus, but we certainly can if we enlist our neighbors to go to the casino or a different venue. So.
Okay.
I think one thing that I've noticed traveling around town, working at the school district for short periods of time, is the fact that Todd spends time in the parking lot with the kids, interacting with them, instead of being in the building doing, administrative things or whatever else needs to be done. But he actually interacts with the kids, and that's very admirable as far as I'm concerned. Thank you for that.
Okay. Any other discussion? Sensing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Welcome aboard from as permanent can be, I guess. How's that?
Now it's official.
I think the guys are right. Everything that I think we've heard since you've been filling in has been all positive stuff, and it's good to see that you've kept your enthusiasm up and whatnot, and you didn't know going in whether this was going to be yours or not, and I commend you for never giving up with that thought that, hey, I'm going to earn this job, and I think you in essence did that. So
You did.
Good job. All right, let's go to number C, or letter C, Library.
Yes, I have a recommendation of Julie Hoyle of Alfred to be our next librarian. We had 9 applications, a couple dropped out immediately after that. Interesting, one lady found out there was Saturday work involved. So I thought, But Julie was not that person. She came across with a very strong interview as being very personable, customer service oriented. She's worked in a couple other municipal libraries that are very well thought of. And I just think this is a really good fit for us at this time, for her to help us grow. And hopefully in the next 2 to 5+ years, there'll be a new facility, at least designed, if not constructed, in town. And I think she'd be a good person to lead us toward that. So I'm pleased to present Julie Hoyle as my recommendation for our next library director. And we had an interview committee of 5 people. Tim Neal, myself, Bridget representing the trustees, Sonia Durney representing a professional that lives in town but works elsewhere, and Pauline Keith, Cheevers, the interim library director, was gracious enough to serve on that because she was not interested in the job. And I very much appreciate Pauline's efforts in this area.
Okay, do I have a motion to approve?
I make a motion to approve Julie Hoyle as the new director of the library.
It's been moved by Selectman Neal. Do I have a
Second.
Seconded by Selectman Doyle. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Welcome aboard.
Welcome to the team.
I'm sure that there are
This is a long speech.
many challenges ahead, but if you'd like to say something, please feel free.
I'm just very thankful to be here. I'm happy to be part of the team. I'm very excited.
Okay, good, thank you. And welcome. All right, so moving on to appointments, committee appointments. We did have an interview earlier this evening for a possible appointment to the Community Garden Committee. So what is your pleasure with regard to that request?
Make a motion, we approve Katie Wellman to be part of the Community Garden Committee.
The term would expire June 30th, 2020.
2020, yes.
Okay, it's been moved by Selectman Doyle, seconded by Selectman Littlefield. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? All right, so we put her on that committee. And with that being said, we're getting right into one where we're going to accept a resignation from the committee. So, item E is discuss a vote to accept the resignation of Nancy Brandt from the Community Garden Committee. Nancy's done a great job in helping with getting that started and whatnot. So, what is the pleasure of the board?
I would move that we accept with regret the resignation of Nancy Brandt from the Community Garden Committee.
Okay, been moved. Do I have a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Again, it's been moved and seconded to, with regrets, accept the resignation of Nancy Brandt from the Community Garden Committee. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Item F, discuss the vote to accept the resignation of Lisa Crocker from the Budget Committee.
We'll do F and G together.
Yeah, F and G together. Lisa is moving.
Yes, unfortunately. Yes.
So she has been a stalwart member of the Budget Committee and the Economic Development Committee, so.
I will move that we accept her resignation from the Budget Committee and the Economic Committee.
Okay, it's been moved. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, moved and seconded to accept Lisa Crocker's resignations from the Budget and the Economic Development Committee. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Item H, discussion to approve the usage agreement of the Waterboro Transfer Station with the town of Hollis. I think we've been, this has been kind of revised a couple of years ago, right? So this is just a continuation of what we're already doing with them?
Essentially a new 3-year agreement with 2 additional 1-year extensions if both boards of selectmen want to do that.
Okay.
And I talked to Roger Hicks, and there was no issues on the Hollis side, so it's a green light for continuing to do this. For the folks back home, they do not bring their household rubbish to the transfer station. They just bring essentially everything else that one would have to pay for. So it seems to work out well. And I think we were up to 150 or 200 stickers, I think.
Right, and they're different sticker than what?
That's correct.
Different sticker, different price from what?
Different color.
The town.
Yes.
Residents have, so.
And how long is that good for?
Potentially 5.
3 years.
3 plus 1
Plus 2 1-year extensions if both towns want.
Okay, do I have a motion?
I move that we approve the agreement between the Waterboro Transfer Station or the town of Waterboro and the town of Hollis.
Been moved, can I hear the second from down that end?
Motion,
Second. To approve the usage agreement between the town, Waterboro Transfer Station with the town of Hollis. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Opposed, motion carries. Old business, discuss a vote to approve the FY 2017 town audit that is now finalized. I think there was just a formatting error before. And the bound copies, I would presume, are on their way to us.
Well, I called again today and didn't get anybody in the office for some reason, so
Probably
yeah.
off somewhere, so.
We will attempt to get those for your next meeting.
So, as a matter of formally accepting the audit, I would entertain a motion to do so.
I would move that we approve the fiscal year 2016-17 town audit as prepared.
Okay, do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve the audit presented by, is it R.W. Smith, right?
RHR.
RHR. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? And are they gonna give us X amount of bound copies?
I usually get 10.
If anybody wants, if anybody wants a bound copy on the board, just let Gary know. If we have to get some more, I'm sure that they're more than willing to produce those. Okay, let's take a look at Old business, which will be on here for a while, review the draft of the June 2018 ballot, and it really is a format more than a draft of the ballot because we're a long ways from being there. But I think what Gary has presented here is, what, four-page?
Yeah, this is going to fit, and I'll tell you, I'm sorry that Sherry isn't here tonight, because you want to talk about somebody that knows Microsoft Word inside and out, and to be able to do this and draw all these boxes. We were going to pay $375, I think, for a rough draft from the ballot company. And she said, well, I can do that. Like she says, well, any challenge I give her. So here we are, and you essentially approved my general reduction from 40 to 50 articles down to the 17 or 18, and we're down to 14 now, and we may need to add another one or more to this, but this is a heck of a start, and here we are still in December.
Yeah.
And I like the fact that it's nice and compact. I guess it's, if you're on board with, especially the second article or the first article on page 2, with all those combinations, all of those used to be separate articles there. Some of them are one-person departments, but there's several departments in there.
Yep.
I think we're going to have to do some of that, and so far you've given me the green light for doing this much, which I greatly appreciate, and I think the voters will too, eventually.
Well, I think that's all we can do right now is just to keep putting it together, and I think we're headed in the right direction here with, I think the last thing anybody wants to have to do is to go in and page through 20 pages of a ballot.
Right.
Even though that the information packet is still going to be fairly significant, showing the previous year's spend and all that good stuff, but that we're still going to have.
We'll still have that legal size Excel document that you folks see,
Yep.
that we can put online, we can email to anyone. And a couple of different colors in it showing the red text that shows what's new for this year. Separate columns going back 2 or 3 years.
And I think the real discussion is going to be how do we prepare the voters for this?
Yeah.
And, how many mailings do we have? Do we have any mailings? Do we, certainly it's easy to put on the website, but I think structurally it would be nice to, I know RSU mails to every post office box or every box holder in the 6 towns, and I mean, that's it's a.
You talking about that color-coded thing
Yeah,
that
yeah.
they put
Yeah,
out
I
every year?
think something as simple as that could be go a long way of prepping everybody for what we would see. But I think
Well, as you can see, she's reduced it here to 8.5 by 11. And we can do that same thing to that budget document. It's a little small on the text,
yeah.
but, and that's,
But this could be a 8.5 by 14, right? A legal
It
size
will be.
sheet. Okay.
as the ballot, it will be that size.
Front and back.
Yes.
And
So it'll be
front-
2 legal size, 8.5 by 14 on both sides, and that will
Right.
be, that should be everything. Because you see, you got your candidates on the first page,
Yep.
all of those vacancies.
So what do we know, I mean, just from a logistics perspective, I guess I'm looking at. We know that, okay, even if this happens to grow to 3 pages, okay? But the state it's a primary, right? Primary season?
Yes.
So there's gonna be at least a front and back page of, because we're gonna vote local Senate, state Senate race, state House, right? Then we've got,
I don't know if you got water districts probably next fall, I guess.
but that's a
Separate ballot on its own.
that's a separate ballot on its own. But from a state perspective, we're gonna have, I would assume, candidates for Congressional District 1 on both parties, right? Is there a Senate race? Yeah, King is up, right?
No. I don't think.
18?
Oh, wait, he
Yeah,
is.
he is,
Yes, he
yes.
is, that's right.
So,
Yeah.
so there's, I'm just looking at how many pieces of paper is somebody gonna
That's all gonna
carry.
be on one, I believe.
Right, and I would think that it would be one, maybe,
So you got
but
one,
both,
two.
there's gotta be both, right? Oh, no, wait a minute. one is gonna be,
State ballot separate from
the
this.
primary, right, is, there's a Republican ballot and there's a Democrat ballot. You can't vote, you have to be registered one of those parties to vote, right?
Yes,
And only vote in that primary.
yes.
Right.
Okay, so it's still one, right? And then the school budget's gonna be the simple, I don't know why they can't put that into a,
Well, they've told us that until all the towns in the district have the machines that we use,
why would that make a difference? Why does that make a difference?
I don't
And I
think it
just
should,
don't-
but that's what
I
we're
just don't
hearing
understand
from
why that makes a
the
difference.
lawyers on high, that until everybody in the district machine counts, we're not gonna do that.
So who doesn't machine count?
I believe it's Newfield. Not positive, I can go ask Christine if you really want to know.
No. Just trying to think of, I think, this is an excellent job of reducing this down to a handful of sheets, right?
Yes.
So I think that's a real positive move for us. But last thing we want to do is, somebody say, gee, I got 15 pieces of paper that I'm going into the ballot box with, because they can't staple them, right? They have to be individual sheets.
right.
Then we
Individual
gotta
sheets,
bring them back and put them in two different boxes.
Right.
And I intend to rent another machine. Christine thinks we might not need it for the spring. I would rather have it there and then get ready for the fall, because we will need a third one by fall.
Yeah.
What's
With
the
gubernatorial.
cost of that?
Oh, they're pretty stiff to just rent them for several $100s for that
A
day.
day? But we own one of them, don't we?
These two here that we have that we keep in residency, they give them to the towns.
Right.
I mean, we pay for all the formatting of the
Right.
brains of it.
The state provided all of those.
Yes.
voting.
I was gonna say, I thought we owned them all.
Because that was the only way that the state could get them all the same, right?
Right.
Yeah, essentially, but we didn't pay anything for them.
Newfield didn't get any?
I think whichever town it is, if it is Newfield, they've refused the use of the machines. You don't have to accept them. You can still do paper ballots if your town wants to.
I just find it very, very,
We gotta understand, you only got 300 voting up to Newfield, so.
but I'm not gonna go vote in Newfield, so I don't care what their ballot is, right? Why should they care
Well, I was gonna say, why,
how we count the ballots in Waterboro?
Well, when we get done here, if we're done before
That's-
7, we'll get Christine in here.
Well, we don't need to belabor it now, but, so I guess the message here, Gary, is, keep doing this and,
How about mailing? Let me get your thoughts about mailing, because my gut tells me that we should mail a ballot, and maybe a budget also reduced to 8.5 by 11, which we can do to everybody in town.
I agree.
I agree, and refer them to the town website if they
You're
want
gonna
more
have to
information.
put on that sample or
Yeah.
draft or something like that. This is what you'll be voting on in June.
But
I
I
think
think you're
they
right, I
should
think
see
we
it.
should plan to make one, if not two, bulk mailings that goes to every single,
House.
Well, we'll use the registered voter list, so we won't be sending them to people who, live elsewhere and have a second home here.
The problem with the registered voter list, at least with my experience with buying it, or buying a copy of it, is it's not very accurate.
Well, then we'll use registered vehicles, we don't need to be sending hundreds of these to people who own second homes and live out of state.
No,
That's
but if you make if it's a bulk mailing, every household is gonna get one.
Yeah.
You don't have to have a specific address on it.
Yeah, that's true. And we do have the bulk mailing permit through the fire department, so.
And couldn't some people be registering the day of the vote
Right.
that you'd miss?
But you'd miss them from a registered voter, but
the
if
way-
they have if they're getting mail in this town, right,
They're gonna get it.
they're gonna get a mail.
Well, the other thing too is if you're gonna put this out there with this, the ghost sample across each page,
Right.
you can also put it out there on all the social media pages, which get to everybody in town anyways.
Yeah. Well, those that choose to go on to social media, you're right.
Should we make some of these samples available at some key spots like Merrill's and
yes.
Lakeside?
Yeah.
and,
Yep,
so you
like
can
we've
pick-
done in the past.
Yeah.
Yep.
The more the better, I think.
The only thing I don't like about, I love the mass mailing idea, and thank you for agreeing to that, is sending a draft ballot and a budget to somebody who cannot vote here.
It doesn't
But if they
matter.
if they're receiving mail here,
If they're receiving mail, they're living here, and they
Yeah, well,
have the capabilities of being a voter.
What's the downside to that?
How many people have we got that live here that aren't even a registered voter?
I would be
Too many.
There's too many.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there can also be people that live out of state and still get mail here.
Yeah, but that-
Probably not so many of those.
If, in that case, they are a taxpayer, but don't claim their residence here,
Right.
and they still should know what's going on in the community.
Yeah.
And
So-
It's not gonna hurt.
If somebody gets one of these and they can't vote, they may turn it over to somebody else. Did you read this? And get talking about it outside the household.
So, yeah, that's a good thought, because in the cover letter, we'll put a sentence or two in there. If you're receiving this and you're not a registered voter, please come register to vote if you do live here. If you live out of town, disregard, something like
Right.
that.
And at the same time, in the third sentence, if you feel that you can't get to vote on Tuesday, you have the option of picking up or calling for a absentee.
Yeah, because they're gonna have, this is gonna be available starting in May, right?
30 days prior.
Right.
Oh, we will aggressively say in that, please come in and
Yeah.
vote early, because it's a new and different ballot. And you might need to ask some questions.
Okay,
All right, good, thank you.
all
I
right.
should have some type of disclaimer on there, I think, though, because some people may think that that's the actual ballot, fill it out and send it back here, and they won't bother to come in to get.
Now, we'll put
It'll say sample
sample
cost.
right on it.
Yeah, all you gotta do is, yeah, you could actually cross out all of the zeros, right?
The ballot company will take what Sherry's done here and put it in their form, but they won't have to change much here. She's used very similar things.
Well, I
They'll
think
change the
we're-
size of the oval and things like that.
We're on the, I think you've come a long way, and I think the real issue, as we've discussed here, is how do we educate everybody?
Yeah.
So, all right.
I think we probably want to go over the cable or do one even here and run that.
I think
Go
you're
through the
right.
budget, and, I mean, we can all set in on it, but each one of us take 4 or 5 of the articles and know what you're talking
Yeah,
about.
and Patrick can, as you talk about the article, he could have, this is what that article's gonna say, right, from a
Right,
picture.
board, yeah.
I mean, he can do a lot of things with
And
the
they can run
video.
that once a day,
Sure.
twice a day. I don't care if it's 5 o'clock in the morning, but
I bet he'd be willing to, thrilled to come over and help with that.
Mm.
They really have done a great job with that. Of course, we all fund it, through the franchise agreement, but. Okay, let's move on to 11, discuss vote to approve the minutes of the November 28th meeting.
so moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Pending decision, we ought to resurrect to review the comprehensive plan task list. Week's action list, I think you've got, the agreement's gonna now go to Hollis, right?
Yep, we'll sign this and then we'll get it to them.
What else? Discussion of, we're gonna go into a new year, so,
There are 3 things for agenda items
Yep.
here. You got a folder. You don't
So
have
there's only
to
4 places here to
Yeah,
sign.
well, I'll have to make another one.
All right.
down below.
Don't sign it?
No, sign it.
No, sign it.
Yeah, go ahead. Put another one down.
Just sign it.
I gave you copies of the zoning ordinance in that brown folder for you to take home.
yep.
And I've reserved Lee J to be here January 9th for starting that discussion, if that's what you want. And so full steam ahead on that as time.
So the planning board has had their public hearings?
Yes.
And
They're done.
they've approved.
They're finished.
So it's now up to us to have a public hearing, right?
Yes.
And approve, so.
Yep. And I would ask that one thing you consider, I think we've had this discussion maybe a year or two ago, is electrical permits. We didn't raise that issue with the planning board. Glenn and I talk about it every few months, so I think it's something that we just kind of keep on simmer, and when the community is ready to do that, we can do that, and have probably a couple of master electricians be our electrical inspector if we so desire. We've already seen places in the county that people are burning down their homes because of improper electricity and marijuana grow operations. And so I don't look for that to slow down at all unless the feds get involved. So other than that, there's a cover memo in there from Lee J.
How else you gonna get rid of it? If you enforce the electricity bill, you're cutting your throat.
Touche, I guess. The cover memo in there is the first thing you should probably read. It's his take on exactly what they did over the last almost year. And it's a good summary for what you've been given. You've given the ugly multicolored copy that comes from everybody and every change in there, and then the clean copy, which you're going to need both to look at. They're about the same size because one's double-sided and one isn't. And then, if you're okay with it, you want to have appointing the Community Center Steering Committee on your January 9th agenda. We have at least 3 applicants from citizens. We have a new rec director and librarian. And
So that's 5. We need a selectman, right?
we had 2 people volunteer. I think it was Tim and Gordon.
Right, so that's 7. 7, committee is 7 right off the bat, so. Yeah.
I'm sorry, what did you say, Gordon?
What was that committee?
I was just saying Tim signed in my slot.
That's the community.
Oh,
Sorry about that.
Sign in his.
yeah.
What am I gonna do? I don't want him to have 2 slots.
What else do we have for the night?
I don't know. Is that a yes? You want me to put that on for
Yeah.
at least to discuss? I mean, that was going to be a committee of 9.
So we're at least 7. We need a couple more at large.
Well, we were going to have somebody from the rec committee and somebody from the library trustees, and then 3 citizens. That's the way we left it last.
Yeah.
If any of those drop out, whether it's a selectman or other committee member, then we just take more citizens, I guess.
Right.
Because I think you folks wanted 9 and not 7.
Right. Okay.
Which is probably not bad because history being what it is, I mean, people being what they are, you might lose a couple in the first year.
Oh, what's that committee?
The Community Center Steering Committee.
Oh,
Go
okay,
look at
yeah,
any and
yeah,
all
okay.
ideas for.
Yeah, I missed what you had.
And so I realize that you discussed it during your little get-together, but Dwayne has had a contract in this town to plow and whatnot, but I'm not anxious to go back to 3 sections in town, but I would say that we would do that as a last resort.
I'm wondering if we could split it up into 2, but I'm more than willing to look at that.
Well, I think that in my put to Gary is, I'll let you,
Catch you to it.
where do you get that tune?
So he gets up and starts dancing.
About the only thing I can hear in a snowplow.
I would like to, I think it's worthwhile to at least start to look at buying some trucks. And I understand that means people and everything else, but, you know, we're not unique in this business. I mean, Buxton went through this. I mean, God, they used to have, 2 road commissioners, right? When they had the upper part of Buxton and the lower part of Buxton, 2 different road commissioners. And so, I mean, I don't know how many trucks they've got in their fleet, but they do a reasonable job plowing 22 and county
They've got
road.
some private contractors, and they've got, I was talking to a guy today, and they've got some winter crew.
Right.
They hired just
Right, just for the winter.
drivers that
Yeah.
might be laid off from a hot top crew or something, but
But there's all, I mean, I really think we ought to look at all
Price
the
comparison
options
is
here
where you were coming from.
as we kind of get closer here.
I mean, you're
it's,
talking a minimum, probably 130,000 to set a truck up.
Including the plow gear?
Yeah.
We paid
What did they-
140 for our.
what did they buy?
But you got a wheel, I mean,
What did they buy for trucks over there in Buxton? What are their trucks?
I don't know. I don't know what Buxton's running for.
I'm not saying that they're the model, but I mean,
Yeah.
they've been through this, so.
Yeah. I can find out what the state figures those international.
But you're right, I mean, we got that wheeler that,
So they don't all need to be 12, 14 yard.
No.
That figure you're quoting,
If you had one wheeler and one straight job, you could plow a third of this town. I ain't saying the guy don't need a pickup, but that, when we had 3 contracts, they required 2 trucks.
right, so 6 trucks.
6
total.
trucks. At that point, we wasn't sanding, so those trucks wasn't leaving the plow route to put material out, but we're close enough to the shed on all, the north end is a little longer distance, but if each end had a wheel and a straight job, they can get it done. Now, if some contractors got 2 more trucks, they can get it done that much quicker, and it's gonna be cheaper for them. But
Well, the other thing that, as you said, I guess young Doug told you that they might be selling equipment too, so, anyway. But that's got, I mean, we need to know before we get into a budget
You've got some
season.
towns out here, Shapley and Limerick has got 2 new contractors. I can tell you the first storm, they had trouble. The last couple storms, they're doing a lot better. The boys know a lot more of what they're doing, but most of these guys started out never plowing snow.
But you plan on 10 miles per truck, just because if things don't go well, you get a little slop with everybody, right?
Yeah, roughly, yes.
that figure you quoted,
But,
Dwayne, does
yeah.
that include a sander and everything else for that truck? 140,000?
Yeah,
Would have the sander, so if you, I mean, even if you had to do it in phases, right?
I mean, do you need a brand new truck? Probably not, and there's a lot of municipal equipment out there that they usually plan on selling 8 to 10 years and replacing it.
Yeah, but you need
Still
something
get
that,
another 8 or 10 years out of them, but
the last thing that we need is to somebody to make a bid and come in and do this town and go out and buy a bunch of junk.
and that's what you've seen at these guys that have taken these contracts on this year.
Right.
Well, we'd need a garage. I mean, you gotta
Oh, I understand
house
that,
these
but
things, and
Maintenance.
at least a part-time mechanic,
It's a
if not
big,
full-time.
it's a big piece of,
But I'll tell you, when you call them the night before Thanksgiving or Christmas morning at 3 o'clock, you gotta have some pretty dependable men. Because, no, it's a holiday.
okay, well, it's something that I think we ought to
The governor
probably,
just gave me a 5-day weekend. I worked all but one day, and today was the day.
I'd like to see us to have a workshop and bring in Doug and, or young Doug and Dwayne and those guys that have been doing this for 15 years and get their input.
I do think that a contractor needs a truck with a scraper blade, or he needs a grader. If you get a bunch of frozen rain and it doesn't warm up, that scraper blade or the grader is gonna peel it up, and it's gonna be a lot cheaper for the town of Waterboro, because they haven't gotta lay tons and tons of salt to clean
Then
that up.
then we got the other piece of it is how do you know, who loads who? You know, do we have to go rent a guy named Loader and,
That's, yes. I
So-
mean, we're struggling right now to load that wheel over those backhoes.
yeah,
We, at this point,
At our salt shed, you mean?
yeah, well, even in the gravel pit.
right.
Oh, with our loader.
We need a 3 or 4 yard loader
Yeah.
at this point to load that wheeler and do it efficiently, because the backhoe can load it from both sides, but you are very hard pressed with an 8-foot bucket to load a 14-foot.
All right, so we need this as a topic, because we're gonna get into some discussion. I think we need to do it as a
I was
workshop.
going to say, I would recommend a workshop.
The sooner the better, I think.
Yeah, we have to have a number going into the budget.
We can look at that and possibly break that into 2 sections. It's going to be.
I'd like to sit with young Doug and Dwayne and those guys that have been doing this for, because they have a pattern that they use, right? So
The splitting of this is going to be in Middle Road.
it could very well be.
And does that north truck go all the way to South Waterboro, or does the South Waterboro truck come all the way to north? But we always plowed that when it was 3 sections, and we didn't have to plow the middle of that middle road.
Right.
We've got 4 miles of that road
Now that's open.
now that is wide open, so that truck needs to be, if
I
you
don't know
turn
how they
it
do
around, then you've got a very poor, because there might be 2 or 3 hours in between the 2 trucks. So,
All right. We need to set up a,
Well, thinking of that, do you want to go before or after the meeting on the 9th, or do you want to grab a full night on January 16th for a workshop, which can be plowing and maybe something else?
yeah, I think we could do the plowing, and I also think we could kind of talk about our desires for what we're gonna do for a budget, from a budget perspective.
Okay, so the
I think
16th.
Dave
then.
Newton should be at that meeting.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, no sense of having a meeting without David.
So January 16th, 6 o'clock?
Yeah, I would think, as long as, I mean, it's,
16th.
we're right now where it's a roll of the dice, right? I mean, if there's a storm,
Yeah.
we're gonna move it, but if we could, the guys that we want here are gonna be the ones that are out working the snow.
Right.
don't ask.
Plowing workshop, and who knows, maybe another agenda, invite both Dougs then also.
Yeah, I would
Two
say.
Dougs and David.
Well, and I don't know who, has young Doug been running the plow crew, or was that Dwayne? Longest
I
time,
think
Dwayne.
Dwayne and Dale, I think Dale's doing almost as much as.
Well, it could be,
I
well,
don't
then
know.
we have all the boys in,
I don't know
okay.
damn
I know,
family, what the hell's the
I know
difference?
last winter,
Yeah, a friendly
if I went
reunion.
down through and they wasn't out, and it was freezing rain, then I would call Dale, and Dale.
Yeah,
I've been communicating with Doug Jr. about the contract, so I'll start with him, and he can filter it down to whoever
All right.
else he'd like to invite. So
anything else? If not, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move,
Second.
All those
You
in
don't have
favor?
to second that.
5 minutes of 7.